Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting Australian coin that many collectors are curious about. This is the 2005 Australia 10-cent coin, and in particular, we will focus on the very fine condition example and its current market value in dollars. Many people have this coin in their pockets or old coin jars, but they do not realize that certain pieces can be collectible and desirable among coin collectors. First, let's talk about the history of this coin so we can better understand its importance. The Australian 10-cent coin has been part of the country's decimal currency system since 1966, when Australia changed from pounds and shillings to dollars and cents. The 10-cent coin was introduced as one of the main circulating coins and has remained in use ever since. By the year 2005, millions of these coins had already been produced over the decades, but each year's issue still has its own story and interest among collectors. The 2005 Australian 10-cent coin features the famous lyrebird design on the reverse side. This beautiful bird is known for its incredible ability to mimic sounds, and it has become a recognizable symbol on Australian coinage. The design was created by Stuart Devlin, a well-known coin designer who produced many iconic Australian coin designs. On the obverse side of the coin, you will find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which represents Australia's constitutional monarchy and connection to the British Crown. When collectors talk about a coin being in very fine condition, they are describing its state of preservation. A very fine coin shows moderate wear from circulation, but the main details of the design are still clear and visible. On the 2005 Australian 10-cent coin, the feathers of the lyrebird and the lettering around the coin should still be recognizable even though the coin has been used. This level of condition is actually quite common for coins that have circulated for years, but collectors still appreciate well-preserved examples. Another interesting aspect of the 2005 Australian 10-cent coin is its composition and overall structure. The coin is made from cupronickel, which is an alloy containing 75% copper and 25% nickel. This combination gives the coin its silver-like appearance and makes it durable enough for everyday circulation. The coin weighs and has a diameter with a distinctive milled or reeded edge around the sides. This reeded edge not only adds to the coin's design, but also historically helped prevent people from shaving metal off the edges. When collectors examine coins, they also sometimes mention something known as the bag marks or bag handling marks. These are small scratches or marks that occur when coins are stored in large mint bags and rub against each other. Even coins that have never circulated can have these marks if they were stored with many other coins. In a very fine 2005 Australian 10-cent coin, small marks are expected because the coin has already spent time in circulation. However, if the coin still has strong details and only light marks, collectors still find it appealing. Now let's talk about collector demand, which is one of the most important factors in determining the value of any coin. The 2005 Australian 10-cent coin was produced in large quantities, so it is not considered extremely rare. However, collectors still like to collect complete sets of coins from every year, and that keeps the demand steady. Many new collectors in Australia enjoy searching through circulation coins to complete their decimal coin collections, and the 2005 issue is an important part of that timeline. Demand can increase if the coin is in better condition than usual. For example, a coin that still shows strong details, clear lettering, and minimal damage may attract more attention from collectors than a heavily worn coin. Some collectors also look for coins with unusual features, such as minting errors, strong strikes, or coins that were preserved carefully since the year they were released. Now we come to the part that many viewers are most curious about, which is the current market value of the 2005 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition. Because this coin had a large mintage and was widely circulated, most examples are still valued close to their. In the collector market today, a typical 2005 10-cent coin in very fine condition generally sells for around $120,000 to $140,000 Australian dollars, depending on the coin's appearance and the interest of the buyer. If the same coin is found in extremely fine or uncirculated condition, the value can increase slightly. In some collector markets, high-quality, uncirculated examples may sell for $2, $10, $0 to $2, $75, 0 Australian dollars, or sometimes a little more if the coin is particularly attractive. However, the majority of circulated coins remain affordable, which actually makes them a great starting point for beginner collectors. For anyone who is interested in collecting coins like this, there are a few positive and helpful tips to keep in mind. The first tip is to always examine your coins carefully before spending them. Many valuable or collectible coins are discovered simply by checking everyday pocket change. The second tip is to store your coins properly. Using coin holders, albums, or protective capsules can help preserve their condition and keep them looking attractive for many years. Another important tip for collectors is to learn about coin grading and condition. Understanding the difference between grades like fine, very fine, extremely fine, and uncirculated can help you estimate a coin's value more accurately. It is also a good idea to compare your coin with reference photos from trusted coin catalogs or collector guides. Collectors should also remember that the joy of coin collecting is not only about value, but also about history and learning. Every coin represents a moment in time and tells a story about the country that produced it. Even coins with small monetary value can still be meaningful parts of a collection. As we come to the conclusion of today's video, the 2005 Australian 10-cent coin is a wonderful example of modern Australian coinage. While it may not be extremely rare, it still holds interest for collectors who enjoy building complete decimal coin sets. A coin in very fine condition usually has modest value in the market, but it remains a nice collectible piece and an accessible entry point for new collectors. Next up, today we are going to explore an interesting coin from Australia that many collectors are searching for. This is the Australia 10-cent coin from the year 1970, especially the coin that is found in fine condition. Many people may already have this coin in their collections or even in their old coin jars without realizing its potential value. In this video, we will learn about the coin's history, its design and composition, why collectors are interested in it, and what its current market value can be today in dollars. So stay with me until the end, because I will also share some useful tips for collectors. To begin with, the 1970 Australian 10-cent coin is part of Australia's decimal currency system, which was introduced in 1966. When Australia moved from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to decimal currency, several new coins were introduced. Among them was the 10-cent coin. By 1970 Australian, the coin was already a regular part of everyday circulation across Australia, used in daily purchases and transactions. Millions of these coins were produced to meet the needs of the growing economy. Even though many were minted, coins that remain in good condition today are becoming more interesting to collectors because many of them were heavily used and worn over time. The design of the 1970 Australian 10-cent coin reflects Australian national identity and heritage. On the reverse side of the coin, you will find the beautiful design of a lyrebird, one of Australia's most famous native birds. The lyrebird is known for its incredible ability to mimic sounds from its environment, and its elegant tail feathers make it one of the most visually striking birds in Australia. This design was created by the renowned Australian artist Stuart Devlin, who designed several of the country's decimal coins. Surrounding the lyrebird is the inscription of the denomination 10 cents and the year 1970. On the obverse side of the coin, you will see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was used on Australian coins during that period. Now let's talk about the condition of the coin, which is extremely important when determining its value. When collectors describe a coin as being in fine condition, it means the coin has been circulated, but still maintains clear details in the design. The major elements, such as the lyrebird feathers, the lettering, and the date, are visible, although some wear may appear on the highest points of the design. A coin in fine condition is not perfect, but it still holds a respectable level of detail and historical appeal. For collectors who appreciate coins with some history and character, a fine condition coin can still be very desirable. Moving on to the background and composition, the Australian 10-cent coin of 1970 was produced using cupronickel, a metal alloy composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition gives the coin its silver-like appearance and also makes it strong and resistant to corrosion. The coin has a distinctive milled edge and weighs approximately with a diameter of. These specifications have remained largely consistent for Australian 10-cent coins for many decades. Because copronnickel is a durable material, many of these coins have survived over the years, though the level of wear can vary widely depending on how much they circulated. When we talk about collector demand, the 1970 Australian 10-cent coin holds a special place among certain collectors of Australian decimal currency. While it is not considered one of the rarest coins ever minted in Australia, collectors often seek coins from earlier decimal years because they represent the early period of the country's modern coinage system. Some collectors also focus on assembling complete year sets of Australian coins, and the 1970 coin becomes an important part of that collection. Additionally, coins that remain in better condition are naturally more attractive to collectors, which increases their desirability. Another factor that influences demand is nostalgia. Many collectors enjoy coins that were part of everyday life decades ago. Holding a 1970 coin can feel like holding a small piece of history from more than half a century ago. As time passes, fewer well-preserved coins remain available, which can gradually increase collector interest. Now let's discuss the current market value of the 1970 Australian 10-cent coin. In general circulation condition, however, when the coin is preserved in fine condition, collectors may pay slightly more for it. In today's collector market, a 1970 Australian 10-cent coin in fine condition typically sells for around $1.40 to $1.75 US dollars, depending on its exact appearance and the demand at the time of sale. If the coin is found in very fine or extremely fine condition, the value can increase further, sometimes reaching 2010 0 to 1 $40,000 or more, especially if the coin shows strong details and minimal wear. Coins that remain in uncirculated condition, meaning they were never used in everyday transactions, can be even more valuable to collectors and may sell for higher prices through auctions or specialized coin dealers. It is important to remember that coin prices can change over time, depending on collector interest, market demand, and the availability of similar coins. Online marketplaces, coin auctions, and collector communities often influence the final price of a coin. For those who enjoy coin collecting, there are several helpful tips that can make the experience more rewarding. One of the most important things a collector should do is learn how to properly examine a coin's condition. Small details such as scratches, cleaning marks, and wear can significantly affect a coin's value. Using a magnifying glass or coin loupe can help reveal these details more clearly. Another important tip is to avoid cleaning old coins. Many beginners believe that cleaning a coin will increase its value, but in reality, it can reduce the value because collectors prefer coins with their natural surfaces intact. It is always better to keep the coin exactly as it was found. Proper storage is also essential. Coins should ideally be stored in protective holders, coin flips, or albums designed for collectors. This helps prevent scratches, moisture damage, and tarnishing over time. A well-protected coin can maintain its condition for many years. Collectors should also stay informed about market trends by reading coin catalogs, joining collector groups, or following coin auction results. This knowledge helps collectors understand the real value of their coins and identify interesting pieces when they appear. In conclusion, the Australia 10-cent coin from 1970 is a fascinating piece of the country's early decimal currency history. Its elegant lyrebird design, durable copronnickel composition, and connection to the early years of Australia's modern coinage system make it an appealing coin for collectors. Even though millions were produced, coins that remain in fine or better condition can still attract collector interest and hold a modest market value today. Next up, today we are going to explore a very interesting coin from Australia that many collectors are talking about. This is the Australia 10-cent coin from the year 2000, especially in very fine condition, and we will discuss its history, background, composition, collector demand, and most importantly, its current market value in dollars. If you are a coin collector or someone who loves discovering hidden value in everyday coins, this video will be very helpful for you. Let's start with the story and history behind this coin. The Australian 10-cent coin has been part of Australia's decimal currency system since 1966, when the country replaced its old pounds, shillings, and pence system with the modern dollar system. By the year 2000, Australia had already been using decimal coins for more than 3 decades. The 10-cent coin, issued in the year 2000, was minted by the Royal Australian Mint and circulated widely across the country. Even though millions of these coins were produced, collectors today are interested in certain coins that have survived in better condition. When we talk about a very fine condition coin, it means the coin still shows strong details, only moderate wear, and most of the design elements are clearly visible. This type of condition is important because the better the condition, the higher the value collectors may be willing to pay. Now let's talk about the design and background of this coin. The Australian 10-cent coin is known for its beautiful and iconic design. On the reverse side, the coin features the famous lyrebird, one of Australia's most unique native birds. The lyrebird design was created by artist Stuart Devlin, and it has been part of the coin since the early days of Australian decimal currency. The bird's elegant tail feathers are one of the most recognizable images on Australian coins. On the obverse side, the coin shows the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which represents Australia's connection to the British Commonwealth. In the year 2000, the portrait used was the 4th portrait of the Queen designed by Ian. Another important aspect collectors like to understand is the composition of the coin. The Australian 10-cent coin is made from cupronickel, which is a metal alloy composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition gives the coin its silver color and also makes it durable for circulation. The coin weighs approximately and has a diameter of about. Because of this strong metal composition, many of these coins have survived in good condition even after many years in circulation. However, coins that show less wear and clearer design details are the ones collectors look for when building their collections. Moving on to collector demand, the 2000 Australian 10-cent coin is interesting because it was produced during a time when coin collecting was growing in popularity. While the mintage numbers were relatively high, many coins were heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged over time. As a result, coins that remain in very fine condition or better attract attention from collectors who want quality examples of each year in their collection. Some collectors focus on building a complete year set of Australian decimal coins, while others specifically collect coins with historical significance around the year 2000, which was a memorable year globally because of the new millennium. In addition to regular collectors, beginners also like coins like this because they are affordable yet historically meaningful. The demand is not extremely high compared to rare error coins or limited mintage issues, but there is still a steady market for well-preserved pieces. Online marketplaces, coin shows, and auction platforms often list these coins, and their value depends mostly on condition and presentation. Now let's discuss the current market value of the Australia 10-cent coin from the year 2000 in very fine condition. In general circulation condition, this coin is usually worth its of 10 Australian cents. However, when the coin is preserved in very fine condition, collectors may pay a bit more because of the quality and collectible appeal. In the current coin collecting market, a 2000 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition can typically sell for around $1.40 to $1.75 depending on the exact quality and the buyer's interest. If the coin is in even better condition, such as extremely fine or uncirculated, the value can increase further and sometimes reach $5 or more among collectors. For collectors who want to add this coin to their collection, there are some helpful tips to keep in mind. Always examine the coin carefully and look at the details of the lyrebird and the Queen's portrait. Clear feathers, visible lines, and minimal scratches are signs of a better preserved coin. It is also important to store coins properly using coin holders, capsules, or albums to prevent further wear. Avoid cleaning coins because cleaning can reduce their value in the eyes of collectors. Keeping coins in their natural state is always the best approach. Another useful tip is to compare your coin with verified examples from trusted coin dealers or reputable auction listings so you can understand its condition and potential value more accurately. Coin collecting is not only about finding expensive coins, It is also about appreciating history, art, and culture captured in small pieces of metal. The Australian 10-cent coin from the year 2000 represents a small but meaningful part of Australia's monetary history and the beginning of a new millennium. As we come to the conclusion of this video, we can say that while the Australia 10-cent coin 2000 may look like a simple everyday coin, it still holds interest for collectors, especially when it is found in very fine condition. Its beautiful lyrebird design, durable cupro-nickel composition, and connection to the year 2000 make it a coin worth keeping an eye on. In today's collector market, such a coin can have a value of a few dollars, and for many collectors that makes it a fun and accessible piece to add to their collection. Next up, today we are going to talk about a very interesting coin that has caught the attention of collectors around the world. This is the 1983 Australian 10-cent coin, especially the unusual rust brown-toned example that sometimes appears in circulation or collections. Many people think a small coin like this cannot be valuable, but certain conditions, colors, and preservation levels can make it very desirable for coin collectors. The Australian 10-cent coin is an important part of Australia's decimal currency system. Australia introduced decimal currency in 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. The 10-cent coin became one of the standard denominations used in everyday transactions. The design of this coin has remained very consistent for many years. On the front side, also known as the obverse, the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, along with the inscription indicating Australia and the year of issue. For the 1983 coin, the portrait was designed by Arnold Machine, whose elegant design appeared on many Commonwealth coins during that period. When we turn the coin to the reverse side, we see the beautiful and distinctive lyrebird, a bird famous in Australia for its remarkable tail feathers and its ability to mimic sounds. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, and it has been used on Australian 10-cent coins since the beginning of the decimal currency era. The lyrebird design gives the coin a strong national identity and makes it visually appealing for collectors. Now let's talk about the condition and appearance of the 1983 rust brown coin. Normally, the Australian 10-cent coin has a silver-colored appearance because it is made from cupro-nickel. However, sometimes collectors find examples that have developed a rust brown or dark brown tone over time. This color change does not necessarily mean the coin is rusting like iron. Instead, it is usually caused by environmental exposure, oxidation, or long storage in certain conditions. Some collectors actually find these toned coins interesting because the unusual color makes them stand out from ordinary circulation coins. When examining the front and back condition of such a coin, collectors carefully look at the level of wear, scratches, and surface marks. A coin that still has clear details on the Queen's portrait and sharp feathers on the lyrebird is considered to be in better condition. Coins that have minimal wear and strong details can attract more attention in the collector market, even if the tone is unusual. Another key factor influencing value is collector demand. In the coin collecting community, people often search for coins that have unique characteristics. A normal circulated 1983 Australian 10-cent coin might not attract much attention, but a piece that shows a rare tone, exceptional condition, or an interesting story can become desirable. Collectors who specialize in Australian decimal coins sometimes look for toned coins to add variety to their collections. This demand can slowly increase interest in unusual pieces like the rust brown example. Now let's discuss the current market value. In general circulation, a standard 1983 Australian 10-cent coin is worth its, which is 10 cents. However, collectors may pay more depending on the condition and uniqueness of the coin. A typical circulated coin might sell for around $48,000 to $75,000 among collectors. If the coin is in uncirculated or near mint condition, the price could rise to $110,000 to $130,000. In some cases, if the coin has attractive toning or exceptional preservation, collectors may pay $10 or slightly more, especially in online auctions where bidding increases interest. For collectors and beginners who are searching for coins like this, there are a few helpful tips to keep in mind. Always examine coins carefully under good lighting so you can see details clearly. Avoid cleaning coins because cleaning can damage the surface and reduce their value. Store coins in protective holders or coin albums to prevent scratches and environmental damage. It is also helpful to compare your coin with verified examples and check recent sales in collector marketplaces to understand realistic market prices. In conclusion, the 1983 Australian 10-cent rust brown toned coin is an intriguing piece for collectors. While most examples remain common, certain coins with unusual toning or excellent preservation can attract attention and sell for several dollars in the collector market. The key factors that influence its value are condition, uniqueness, and collector demand. For anyone interested in coin collecting, coins like this are a reminder that even everyday currency can hold hidden stories and surprising value. Next up, today we are going to talk about a very interesting coin that many collectors and even ordinary people may have seen in their change but never realized its potential value. The coin we are discussing today is the 1968 Australia 10-cent coin, especially when it is found in very fine condition. Many coin collectors around the world search for older Australian coins, and some of them can have surprising value depending on their condition, rarity, and demand in the collector's market. Let's begin by looking at the history of the 1968 Australian 10-cent coin. Australia introduced its decimal currency system in 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. When the new decimal coins were introduced, the 10-cent coin quickly became an important part of everyday transactions. The 1968 coin was part of the early years of Australia's decimal currency, and coins from these early years often attract the attention of collectors. The design of the coin has remained mostly the same for many decades. On the obverse, the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, symbolizing Australia's connection with the British monarchy during that time. On the reverse side, the coin displays the beautiful lyrebird, one of Australia's most fascinating native birds, known for its ability to mimic sounds in nature. This design was created by the well-known Australian artist Stuart Devlin, whose work appears on several Australian coins. When collectors talked about coin value, condition plays a very important role, and this is where the term very fine condition becomes important. A coin described as very fine usually means that it has been circulated but still retains clear details. The main features of the design are visible, and although there may be some wear from use, the coin still looks attractive and well preserved. For the 1968 Australian 10-cent coin, a very fine example will still show clear feather details on the lyrebird and visible facial features on the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Coins in better condition usually receive more attention from collectors and can sell for higher prices compared to heavily worn examples. Another interesting aspect of this coin is its background and composition. The 1968 Australian 10-cent coin is made from a copper-nickel alloy, which consists of approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel. This combination gives the coin its silver-like appearance and also makes it durable for everyday use. The coin has a weight of about and a diameter of approximately. Its reeded edge helps protect the design from excessive wear. Millions of these coins were produced in 1968 by the Royal Australian Mint, which means the coin itself is not extremely rare. However, older coins that survive in nice condition always become more desirable as time passes. Now let's talk about collector demand. In the world of coin collecting, demand can change over time depending on how many collectors are looking for a particular coin and how many good examples remain available. Early decimal coins from Australia, including the 1968 Australian 10-cent coin, are often collected by people who want to complete a full set of Australian decimal coins starting from 1966. Collectors who focus on Australian coins appreciate pieces from the late 1960s because they represent the beginning of the modern currency era. Even though the 1968 Australian 10-cent coin had a relatively large mintage, collectors still search for high-quality examples, especially coins that have minimal wear and attractive surfaces. When we consider the current market value, it is important to understand that the value of any coin can vary depending on condition, demand, and the place where it is sold. A heavily circulated 1,968 Australian 10-cent coin is usually worth close to its. However, a coin that is preserved in very fine condition may have a higher collector value. In today's collector's market, a 1,968 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition may typically sell for around $130 to $3,010 US dollars, depending on its appearance and the interest of buyers. If a coin is found in extremely fine or uncirculated condition, the value can sometimes increase further because collectors prefer coins with sharper details and fewer signs of wear. Prices can also vary between coin shops, online auctions, and collector events, where enthusiastic buyers may be willing to pay a little more for a nice example. For people who are interested in collecting coins, the 1,968 Australian 10-cent coin can be a great starting point. Coin collecting is not only about money, it is also about history, art, and the excitement of discovery. Many collectors enjoy searching through old coins because sometimes rare varieties or high-quality pieces appear in unexpected places. If you come across an older coin, like the 1,968 Australian 10-cent piece, it is always a good idea to examine it carefully under good lighting. Look for clear details on the lyrebird. Check the portrait on the front and see whether the coin has scratches, corrosion, or heavy wear. Keeping coins in protective holders or albums can help preserve their condition and maintain their value over time. It is also helpful to learn from coin catalogs, collector communities, and reputable dealers who can provide guidance about authenticity and market trends. Another helpful tip for collectors is to remain patient and curious. The value of coins can change gradually over the years, especially as older coins become harder to find in good condition. By studying coins and understanding their history, collectors gain knowledge that can help them recognize interesting pieces when they appear. Even a small coin like the 1,968 Australian 10-cent can carry a story about a nation's currency transition and artistic heritage. As we reach the end of today's video, it is clear that the 1,968 Australian 10-cent coin is a fascinating piece of modern coin history. While it may not be extremely rare, it still holds collector interest because it comes from the early years of Australia's decimal currency system and features a beautiful design that has stood the test of time. A coin in very fine condition can have modest but meaningful collector value, and it can be an enjoyable addition to any coin collection. Next up, today, we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and we've got a real treat for you, the 1,998 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this coin is definitely worth a closer look. The Australian 10-cent coin has a long and interesting history. First introduced in 1966 as part of Australia's shift to decimal currency, it has always held a special place in the hearts of collectors. The 1,998 version carries the iconic design by Mint Master, with the familiar image of the lyrebird on the reverse. This bird, known for its beautiful and intricate tail, is a symbol of Australia's unique wildlife and heritage. Coins from the late 1990s, especially in very fine condition, are increasingly sought after because they bridge the gap between modern circulation coins and collectible items. Let's talk about what makes this coin so special from a technical standpoint. The 1,998 Australian 10-cent coin is made of cupronickel, giving it a durable, slightly silver-toned finish. It weighs exactly and has a diameter of making it a comfortable size for collectors to handle and display. The fine details on the lyrebird's feathers are especially noticeable on coins that have been well preserved. In very fine condition, the design remains sharp, with only minor signs of circulation, which makes it a joy to add to any collection. Now let's talk about why collectors are so interested in this coin. Coins from the 1990s are increasingly recognized for their historical significance and relative rarity, especially in very fine condition. Unlike new coins that you can find in your change, a 1,998 Australian 10-cent coin in excellent shape is much harder to come by. This scarcity, combined with the timeless lyrebird design, has made it highly desirable in the numismatic community. Collectors appreciate the blend of history, artistry, and preservation, making it a coin that often sparks friendly competition at auctions and online marketplaces. So, how much is a 1,998 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition worth today? Prices can vary depending on where you look, but generally, collectors are willing to pay around $10,000 to $20,000 per coin in very fine condition. If you have a coin that is in even better condition, such as extra fine or uncirculated, the value could increase significantly. Remember, market value is influenced by collector demand, condition, and rarity, so a coin in pristine shape is always more valuable than one showing significant wear. If you're looking to add this coin to your collection, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always check the coin's condition carefully. Very fine coins should have clear and detailed designs with minimal wear. Handle your coins carefully and store them in protective holders to preserve their quality. It's also a good idea to research reputable sellers or auctions to ensure you're getting a fair price. Joining online collector communities or local numismatic clubs can provide valuable insights and opportunities to trade or purchase coins from fellow enthusiasts. In conclusion, the 1,998 Australian 10-cent coin is a beautiful piece of Australia's numismatic history. With its stunning lyrebird design, durable composition, and growing collector interest, it's more than just a coin. It's a small treasure. Whether you're starting your collection or looking to expand it, this coin represents both historical value and collectible appeal. So, keep an eye out, treat it with care, and enjoy the journey into the fascinating world of coin collecting. Next up, today we're diving into one of the most fascinating treasures from Australia's coin history, the 1,975 Australian 10-cent coin. If you're a collector or just curious about rare coins, stick around because this coin has a story, a unique design, and a market value that might surprise you. Let's start with the history of this beautiful coin. The 10-cent coin was first introduced in Australia in 1966 as part of the country's shift from pounds to decimal currency. The 1975 edition is particularly special, not only because of its age, but because coins from this year in very fine condition are relatively rare. These coins have survived over 45 years, maintaining their detail and design, and that's something collectors absolutely love. When we talk about very fine condition, we're referring to coins that show light wear, but still retain most of their original design and shine. The kangaroo on the reverse side and the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse are still crisp and clear, making it a real treat for collectors to own. Now let's talk about the coin itself, its weight, roundness, and composition. The 1975 Australian 10-cent coin is perfectly round, crafted from a cupro-nickel alloy, which combines durability with a bright silvery appearance. It weighs exactly and measures in diameter. This composition gives it a nice heft in the hand and ensures it withstands the passage of time, which is why coins from this era can still look amazing even decades later. The combination of metal quality, precise minting, and design detail makes it a joy to hold and display. Collector demand for this coin has been steadily increasing over the years. Because the 1975 Australian 10-cent coin was minted in relatively limited numbers, and very fine examples are hard to come by, collectors are willing to pay a premium to add it to their collections. Numismatists and casual collectors alike are drawn to it for its historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and rarity. Coins that have been well preserved in their original condition often end up in private collections, further reducing the supply in the market. This growing demand has a direct impact on its market value. Speaking of value, what is this coin worth today? A 1975 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition can fetch anywhere from $1.30, 0 to $1.45, 0 USD in the current market, depending on its exact state and provenance. Coins in even better condition, like extra fine or uncirculated examples, can go significantly higher, sometimes even surpassing $1.70, 0 USD. Prices fluctuate based on collector interest, auction activity, and the overall numismatic market. But one thing is clear. Owning a 1,975 Australian 10-cent coin is not only about holding a piece of history, it's also an investment in something that appreciates over time. For collectors who are considering adding this coin to their collection, a few tips can make a big difference. Always examine the coin's surface for scratches, dings, or signs of cleaning, as these can reduce its value. Storing your coins in protective holders and keeping them away from moisture will help preserve their condition. If you're new to coin collecting, consider consulting with a reputable dealer or joining a coin collectors club to gain insights on spotting genuine, high-quality coins. Remember, patience and careful selection are key when building a valuable collection. In conclusion, the 1,975 Australian 10-cent coin is more than just currency. It's a piece of history that tells a story about Australia's transition to decimal money and the artistry of coin design. Its enduring beauty, combined with collector demand and rising market value, makes it a must-have for anyone passionate about coins. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting out, this coin offers both aesthetic pleasure and potential investment value. So, if you ever comes across a 1,975 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition, treasure it, because you're holding a small but remarkable piece of Australia's history